It's Anne-Marie from Charmed Life Therapy. Thanks for watching. Today I just wanted to have a little talk about what is Rapid Transformational Therapy. I show up here regularly and make videos all about self-esteem, mindset, healing from things like depression and anxiety and phobias. And the main thing that I use for that and why I trained in it myself is that Rapid Transformational Therapy works. It addresses what's going on in your subconscious mind and why you feel the way you do. So what is it? So Rapid Transformational Therapy is a form of hypnotherapy, or at the very least it uses hypnotherapy as the vehicle to get the information that you need to get from your subconscious mind. So what we tend to do is we put you into hypnosis, which is quite simple and only takes 3 or 4 minutes, and then we do a couple of little things that just gets you that bit deeper. And kind of why we use hypnotherapy is that if you think in your everyday life, you're usually telling your mind to relax your body. And what we do in hypnosis is we reverse engineer that. We relax your body first, which tells your mind to relax. So we're working backwards and we kind of get your conscious mind, that mind chatter, if you like, we kind of get that to be distracted so that we can access your subconscious mind, which is where all of your memories are stored. And remember, your subconscious mind runs around 95% of what is going on in your body. So everything that you do in your body without thinking about is actually run by your subconscious mind. So your subconscious mind at any given time is taking in everything that you see, hear, feel, taste, touch. Absolutely everything goes into that subconscious mind, and your subconscious mind is constantly deciding whether something's worth keeping, whether to put it to the back of your mind, whether it needs processing, whether it's valuable, whatever it is. So you can imagine that sometimes when terrible things happen to you in your life, or something that happens as a child that as a child you perceive to be really, really painful and almost life-threatening. And remember that when you're a child, you know, some things that an adult would consider quite small and nothing to be worrying about are actually feel quite life-threatening to a child. Things like being isolated or lost in a store or put to bed in the dark as a punishment or sent out of a room. Anything to a child that feels like isolation or rejection or not being loved, that actually feels really quite life-threatening to a child's safety. So the things that are going on in your life, like depression, like anxiety, maybe sometimes like a phobia, anything and everything basically that affects the way you feel day to day. You might have 1 or 2 significant moments in your life that you think it's down to those things. But what we find when we put you into hypnosis and take you back to scenes in the past and ask your mind, where did that thing stem from? What you often find is that it's incidents that happened much, much earlier, often between 0 and 7. And believe me, you are quite capable of going back to moments in time as young as that, and even sometimes to memories that you've had from the womb, which is quite outstanding. And it's a really amazing thing when it happens either to you or to a therapist, when we get you to go back to a womb memory. But we get that information. You see, whatever might have happened in the meantime between your childhood formative years and the age you are now, that those incidents in the middle that you think are the formative things, that, like I said, they're often those much younger ones, because what you dealt with in the meanwhile is based off the beliefs that you formed about yourself in childhood. It's when we do rapid transformational therapy with you, occasionally it's later memories, say in your teens or in your 20s, but more often than not it is between 0 and 7. And I find especially with men, it's often that bit younger too. So we take you back and we get those memories, all while you're in hypnosis with your body very, very relaxed, but your actual subconscious mind is quite active. It's working really, really hard, because you imagine it's going through all of that information to get the relevant things. So it's my role, or the role of anybody that practices rapid transformational therapy, to then gather all that information like a detective and present it back to you and say, well, this is why you felt that way then in the circumstances that you were in then, but do you need to feel that way now as the person you are today with the things that are available to you now? we start getting your mind to think, is that, because the thing is, your subconscious mind is always really, really trying to help you. Even when something feels really, really negative, like a belief, a symptom, a habit, a behavior that you've adopted, even when you know it's to your detriment, your subconscious mind thinks there's been a good reason for that. And that's why we go back to the past and find out what that is. Because once we point out to subconscious mind that that might have kind of dealt with it in the moment, but it's not really serving you now. Once we get subconscious mind to notice that and acknowledge it, because it wants to do good for you, once it's pointed out that that thing is not doing any good for you, then subconscious mind says, right, fine, I can stop doing that, but what do you want me to do? What's the next step? So after we've done some of those interruption techniques while we've got you in hypnosis and we've got your mind thinking about, well, what needs to be different, that's at that point when we actually make a recording for you that's all about the positive things that you do want, the things that, if that thing went away, what would your life look like? If it, what is your vision of a better life? So we only put back into your mind the things that you truly want to have, not my interpretation of it, what your own interpretation is of what a healthy and fulfilled, happy, peaceful, content, joyful life looks like to you. That is what we do for you with Rapid Transformational Therapy. And the whole session takes about 2.5 hours. And what we do find is for many people that one session is actually enough to get them to where they want to be. Because even if there's more work to do, if you deal with as much as we can in one session and your mind starts going on a different pathway, every time you take different actions, you go out into the world and think different thoughts and take different actions as a result, that continues to snowball. So even after just one session of Rapid Transformational Therapy, you can find that that's enough to get your mind then on board and expanding on its own behalf. Sometimes people choose to have 2 and possibly 3, but what is lovely about most forms of hypnotherapy is the idea that we're not after you being a repeat billing model. We don't want you to have to keep coming back to us. We want you to go off and be able to live your life and just check in once in a while if you feel like it, because we do like to know you're okay. But it's not that same thing as talk therapy where it's like going to be a part of your life forevermore, that you need to see your counsellor every once in a while. With hypnotherapy and specifically Rapid Transformational Therapy, we want you to go off and be able to live your life. We want you to just get on with it. So that is Rapid Transformational Therapy, really. And it's very clever. It uses aspects of like your traditional talk therapy and things that you've probably heard of, like cognitive behavioural therapy and neuro-linguistic programming. And it's a series of very clever little techniques that take all the best of that and put it all to you in one neat little package. I've studied various other methods of hypnotherapy since I trained in Rapid Transformational Therapy. And it's helped me see just how clever the Rapid Transformational Therapy process is, because I can see aspects of everything else that I've learned that's all rolled into this one technique called Rapid Transformational Therapy that was devised by Marisa. And that's somebody that you might want to look into if you want further information. But me, myself, that's what I do on a day-to-day basis, as I say, as well as some of these other forms of hypnotherapy. But so far, it's still the one that I prefer the most. It's the one that helped me very much when I tried numerous other things over decades and decades and decades and never just quite got there, never quite got the answer. I mean, the mere fact I can be in front of you like this talking is because I've had Rapid Transformational Therapy, because this is not something I would have done in the past. And the first thing I noticed after I'd had Rapid Transformational Therapy was that my negative self-chatter, all of these terrible things that we say to ourselves, you're ugly, you're this, you're that, the other, it just stopped. It was like I gained this voice inside that had been suppressed a long time that just says, no, you don't say that to yourself. What are you doing? It was kind of like an internal shock. That voice, when it first arrived, I don't hear it like that the same anymore. But when it first came out, it was like, it was quite angry, because I think it was kind of the part of me that had taken a lot over the years. A lot of people telling me that I was wrong, that my feelings didn't matter, that I wasn't in my right mind. whatever it is you want to call it. You know, when you have things like depression and anxiety, people will all often tell you that what you think doesn't matter, that your feelings don't matter, that you don't know what you're talking about. And they will often not listen to your opinions, because it's easy to dismiss you if a doctor has given you a mental health diagnosis of some kind. You know, it often, that is one of the worst things about it, and why I don't really like the mental health label. I kind of prefer emotional health, because the thing is, what rapid transformational therapy teaches us really, and what Marisa does kind of drive into you when we're training in it, is this thing of you, depression and anxiety is not something that is natural to you. It's not that you were born with it. It means that something has happened to you, that there's something that needs to be addressed. And that's why we go back to the past and find out what it was. And it's often things like childhood emotional neglect, because even if you've not known like physical violence, it can be just that your parents were very busy people, or there was a lot of children in the family, or whatever was going on in their own upbringing has then been handed down to you, and they don't really know how to be emotionally in tune with the child, whatever it is. That's kind of where these things come from. I mean, I've known kind of several male clients have come to me with things like anger management issues, and it will often stem back to kind of those times between 0 and 3. When they were sent to bed, when they were excluded, when they felt all alone in the world, and you kind of trap a child in a bedroom or in the dark or sometime or something like that, they will get a fair amount of terror. You know, anything that makes somebody feel trapped can lead to things like fears, phobias, anger, you know, being suppressed, you know, even like as silly as it sounds, you know, it's so funny. Sometimes somebody will go back to being a memory of a baby and being trapped under blankets and feeling like helpless and feeling like they couldn't raise their arms over their head. And what would they do if they couldn't defend themselves? And it all leads to these kind of weird feelings and behaviors and symptoms and triggers and habits that we have way down the line. So that is what we address with rapid transformational therapy, and it can be applied to both physical things as well, because your mind will often create things in your physical body, especially if it's not something that your mind wants to deal with. If it's something really traumatic and your mind thinks, no, I kind of have to block that out, blank it out, I don't want to bring that back up, that thing has to come out somewhere. So it will often come out in your body in terms of dis-ease, which we know as disease, or sometimes like skin irritation, inflammation, fibromyalgia, arthritis. A lot of these things that defy explanation, or you might have had tests and scans and whatever, and it has not come to light what that thing is. It is often something to do with something that's trapped in your subconscious mind. So that's kind of a little bit of a breakdown of what rapid transformational therapy is, and I hope that helped. It's a lovely experience. I love doing it because you see how people come out of hypnosis and how just kind of reborn they look, like they've had like the best nap ever. Or I kind of liken it to having a being gently pulled on a rack and you just kind of get to expand and then you just release. And that's what it's like to me, and that's what I often see on clients' faces when I've dealt with them. And yeah, it's a lovely, lovely thing to do. And it's like a month-long, almost a month-long process in a way, because you have your session that feels really supportive and nurturing. And then you have 3 weeks of listening to a 20-minute recording, around about 20 minutes. So you get to have that lovely feeling of having hypnosis every day for 3 weeks and have somebody support you in between, checking in with you to make sure that you're okay and that you're on track and that nothing has arisen in the meantime. So that is what I do. That is rapid transformational therapy in a nutshell, but I will talk about it more on other videos, and from time to time I relate client stories as and when it's appropriate, or I have permission. But that's it basically. So depending on what channel you're watching this on, please do consider dropping a like, a heart, a comment, subscribing, wherever it is that you're watching this. I don't know quite where I'm loading it at this point. But yeah, please do support me, and I'll continue to make videos all about how you can change your life through changing your mindset. All right, thank you very much for watching.